Welcome to No Clip, the podcast that's like a book club for people who don't think that books reward them enough for being good at them. I'm Chad Rutherman.
And I'm Andy Kinnick.
And today, we're going to be talking about Donkey Kong 64 in Simian September, which was developed by Rareware, published by Nintendo, and was released in 1999 on the Nintendo 64.
But first, if you give us a like or a rating, it would be greatly appreciated.
So Donkey Kong 64 is a collectathon 3D platformer, which was the genre du jour in the 90s,
Yes.
for certain.
It was one of the three genres.
It was one of the three genres that you were allowed to make in 1999. And what's crazy about it is that, like, with only a couple of exceptions, like, we've talked about collectathons like Hat in Time and Mario Odyssey. Yeah, Mario Sunshine, which is even more like level-based than most. Most of the ones that, like, the big ones that people remember, we actually haven't, like the old ones anyway, we haven't really talked too much about. And I think that the obvious one that we were just talking about a little bit before starting recording, that this compares to, because it was made by literally the same company, is Banjo Kazooie, which came out literally a year before this, which I find to be insanity.
It is wild, given that they made so many games at the time. They must have had a lot more employees than I imagine.
Yeah, and just, like, had these things brewing at the same time.
Yeah, like, the N64, they had, like, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, Donkey Kong 64, Jet Force Gemini, like, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. Like, they made so many games.
Yeah, in, like, a 5-year period.
Yeah.
Like, it takes most developers in 2023 5 years to make a game.
Yeah.
I guess it's not necessarily true, but, like, it's gotten, back in the day, things were a little bit easier to churn out. Like, we got like the whole Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask in a very short period is, like, a thing that people talk about. But, like, I would not have, if you had paid me $1 billion and gave me 3 chances, I would not have come up with 1 year as the difference between Banjo and this.
Yeah. There must not have been a lot of overlap in the people working on them, I guess.
Yeah. And this might play into a bit of what my takeaway from DK64 a bit. That this game is just not as expansive as it seems on the surface.
I guess it depends on what you mean by expansive.
You're right, yeah. Because this is a game that takes a very long time to play.
Yes.
But I don't think that it uses that many assets to do that. I think that they were able to use their... I mean, some people might call it use their resources intelligently. Things got reused a lot. And some other people might say... made you do the same thing 5 times. But before we get into that, the first thing I feel like I do need to talk about with Donkey Kong 64 is that this game is significantly better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. I'm surprised.
It doesn't mean that I loved the game.
Yeah.
But, man, were my expectations set very low, and this game really destroyed them.
Yeah, like, this is a childhood favorite of mine. I remember getting, like, the box that came with the little RAM adapter and, like, it feeling like a big deal for some reason. I don't know why. I just, like, remember getting that physical box. Like, a very clear memory. And, like, I know me and my sister played the crap out of this, and it was probably, like, one of my top 10 favorite games until I, like, was in college or whatever. Like, I loved this game when I was younger. But yeah, we've done a couple of older games recently. We did Mario 64 and we played Kingdom Hearts 1. And I was like, I started playing it for this episode, And I was like, oh man, Chad's gonna like fucking hate this. Like I was like, I remember thinking like a couple months ago, like, oh, he might like some stuff about it. But then when I started playing it, I'm like, oh no. There's so much tedium.
Yeah, you had mentioned to me, you were like, I think it was just like when we were recording the episode that we just did on Monkey Island, Simian September, a Simian September synergy, if you will.
Yes.
And you were like, I'm really glad we're getting into October because I feel like you've just hated everything that we've been doing recently. And like, there's a part of me that would say that I hate playing Mario 64, but like I don't hate Mario 64. I don't hold a grudge against it.
Yeah.
I think it was similarly.
I think it was more that like the Kingdom Hearts episodes felt like me giving you homework.
Well, you literally did, because we weren't planning on doing the first game, and you wanted me to just play it again so that I had context for the second one.
Yeah.
Which is fair. And I didn't hate playing either of those as well. It was more of a... I think that our expectations of the games were so different that it just feels really vast in a way.
Yeah. But I think... that Donkey Kong 64 is like interesting to like look into on the internet though. Like you said, like your expectations were really low, and I'm guessing it's because if you look up anything about this, people are like, Donkey Kong 64 killed 3D platformers. It sucks ass. The game design is horrible. Like I feel like it got Mario Sunshined, like in a way. Like I feel like it's just one of those games that like the universe just decided is bad, and people just seem to hold that opinion whether or not they actually have played it or remember how good it was. They just are like, yeah, that's the bad one.
Yeah, no, it is 100%. My expectations were set by the reputation this game has.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of those games that people talk about like, not like Rascal, but more like fruitcake. Like, Donkey Kong 64 is fruitcake in that some people like it, but most people think that it is garbage that they're given for Christmas in 1999. And yeah, like, I had that expectation going in. I was like, I know that people have problems with this game, but most of my interaction with Donkey Kong 64 comes from Donkey Kong 64 speedrunning. I've never just like watched someone play the game. I'd never played the game prior to this. Some people might argue, because I played the game on emulator, that I still haven't played the game, because N64 emulation isn't perfect, particularly with this game. Though I did play it on original hardware briefly before it just stopped working, and I went through hell. But I don't know if the story is interesting enough to tell. But I purchased another N64 and still was unable to get it to work. So that's we might do a brief bit in here somewhere about game preservation and why that is important. But for the time being, I'll just say, this was my very first experience with like the intended version of Donkey Kong 64, and the reputation is what gave me hesitance coming in. But actually playing it and like being a fan of Banjo Kazooie, like I do really like that game and played a lot of it when I was a kid. Rare is very good at what they know how to do, and both games are great exhibits of that. I think that there are elements of it that we'll talk about that made me not fully enjoy my experience, but at its core, Donkey Kong 64 is just a good platformer.
Yeah, like it's like a lot of like my favorite things about this game is like I feel like it really like held a place in my mind as like the best looking game I'd ever played when it came out. Like I really think that like the polygon count on like the character models and everything just feels so much higher, especially compared to like Mario 64. It just like it really feels like they're getting everything out of the console in this game.
they packed so many polygons into the expansion pack they couldn't even include the C in the word.
Yeah, you got like 5 playable characters. You've got like a bunch, like actually like a surprising amount of enemy variety. Like they keep introducing new ones the further into the game you go. Like there's just so much in it that it's like really impressive. And I think that's what made it seem like so great at the time. Is like I think I talked about this on the Twilight Princess episode, but like this game before Twilight Princess was like really wowed me with its scope. It was like this big epic adventure like I just didn't know that I had always wanted, and it just like felt like such a big deal. So yeah, it really felt like Rare like set out to do that, to really do like an N64 swan song, basically, and like that is Donkey Kong 64 for better and for worse.
Yeah, like, because I don't know, I don't have a list of Rare's games pulled up right now, but like this is one of those like end of an era kind of games, because we are going into, the GameCube came out, was it in 2000 or was it in 2001?
I want to say 2001.
Yeah, 2001 is what, because I know it was out by 2001 for sure. But yeah, so it was very close to that, to hitting that point. The PlayStation 2 would be out shortly, which completely turned the entire industry on its head. Like, Donkey Kong 64 was probably a lot of people's last game on the N64 before moving on to something else. Notably not mine. Don't know how I avoided that, but I also didn't play Mario 64 as a kid, so like who fucking knows what was going on in my head.
Yeah.
I was playing fucking Fighting Force on the PlayStation 1. Is
your brother a Nintendo fan?
Not really. He just got a Switch last year, actually.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother, for context, is several years older than I am, so a lot of the game purchasing decisions were in his hands because he had a job and I was 11.
Right.
So, yeah, he made a lot of the decisions. Like, we had, like, Mario Kart and stuff, but as far as, like, the big N64 games, like, when I think of, like, classic great N64 games, I am thinking of Banjo Kazooie, but I'm also thinking of, like, Pilot Wings 64.
Yeah.
Which, like, returning to that game is a complete fucking nightmare. But yeah, I was surprised playing it for several reasons. And yeah, like I think I don't know how I want to structure the conversation, but I think the important thing to get out of the way, because I do want to be as positive as I can be with a lot of this stuff. But we've talked, there's an expression in the English language when somebody really sabotages themselves. They say they shot themselves in the foot. Like, oh, you were playing with fire and you've gone too far and now your shit's fucked and you can't walk.
Yeah, when he shoots you, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And they shot with the coconut gun. I think that Rare shot themselves just right in the head and sabotaged what could have been an extremely great game into a good okay game. And I think it really is just the way, and it's not mechanical, right? Like everything plays super smoothly and well. But the way that they handle the 5 character thing makes the game such a tedious pile of garbage. In between me being like, I'm having a great time, and then it's like, walk back to the tag barrel because here's some floating red bananas that you can't pick up.
Yeah,
and that was like my main pain point through the entire thing.
Yeah, like I remember at the time the tag barrel felt like really cool and novel, but yeah, like when you go back to it now, like I don't know if you got to Frantic Factory.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that level seems like designed to annoy you. Like you go around a corner and there's like 3 coins for, like you're following the trail of red bananas and it's like 3 green coins and you're like, fuck. Tag Barrel's right there. I guess I'll go back and get Chunky Kong. Just get him now, because I'll forget.
Yep. There were so many times when there's a teleport that goes from the tag barrel up to the top of the factory.
Yeah.
And I went back and forth on that like 50 times, because like I was actually lost, and the reason was bad. But yeah, it was that level was very annoying.
I think that that level is designed to make you get lost. more so than the others. But one of the like criticisms I've heard about the game that I think I really agreed with, that like if you were to like do a remake of it, or if you were doing it as like a design challenge, like how would I fix Donkey Kong 64? It's like, just let you switch Kongs with the D-pad to just like cycle through them. Like that would solve like 50% of the game's problems right there.
If you wanted to just like make one change, that would be it. Like that would be the thing to do. Because I think the biggest problem is just like it's the design with that in mind. Like, because what you would ideally want is for the tag barrel to still be there to present a limitation. Like you have to make a decision as to what Kong you're going to play as, which is going to be a weird sentence that I say a bunch of times in this episode. But because the way that the levels are laid out, it just ends up being going through the same things. And because the enemies respawn, you just do the exact same thing
really quickly
5 times. Yeah, super fast.
There's a level called Crystal Caves, like later in the game. And
I did not get to Crystal Caves.
Yeah, there's this enemy that's like up at the like highest point. It's like one of those guys with the big clubs. I don't know if you ever saw one of those guys.
Yeah, they're also from DKC as well.
Oh, right. Yeah, and he just like smashes the ground and makes like stalactites fall, and that just happens throughout the whole level. But you can make it up to him and kill him, but then he just respawns in like, like 2 minutes, so it's not even worth it.
Even Dark Souls. Actually, that's not true. Or I don't remember. The fucking big ball in Sen's Fortress. There's no way to stop that from happening.
No, you can turn the thing to make it like stop shooting at you, and it will. If you kill all the enemies near it, it won't move. But if you leave and come back, you have to deal with it again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Donkey Kong 64 actually just as good as Dark Souls.
It's confirmed.
With that in mind,
we figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, do you want to talk about the Kongs?
Oh yeah.
Because like, as I said, it's a big childhood favorite, and I really like the characters. Like I feel like they pack in so much personality. Like they have a lot of like unique animations. Like even like in the tag barrel, they all have unique animations, and like they all have unique idle animations, and like they'll like Lanky Kong will like pull out the orange bombs and juggle them, and like, you know, like they'll make use of the items and the animations and stuff. I just think it's all really impressive. But yeah, I it's interesting they introduced 3 new Kongs instead of using Dixie or Kitty. In the case of Kitty, I think that's a great decision. But like, yeah, Dixie, my speculation was always that like the way like she flies with her ponytail might have been like looked weird in 3D, so they were like, let's just make a new character,
who has pigtails, which looks way more normal in 3D.
Which will be her younger sister, I think, is what Tiny is supposed to be.
Yeah, like that is. I was curious about that because, like, in addition to, like Donkey and Diddy, they also bring back Cranky and Funky and Candy. Yep. Those are. I think that's all of them. Oh, the Dead Kong also.
Oh, Wrinkly Kong.
I don't remember who. I know that in like video game parlance, there is like. Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong Jr., and then, like, Cranky Kong is Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong the game. And then, like, he grew up and became Cranky Kong, and then Donkey Kong is... Right.
Yeah.
But I don't remember Wrinkly Kong at all, and it showed up and was like, hey, it's me, Wrinkly Kong. I'm a ghost now. I was like really digging through my memory as to who that was. But yeah, they brought like every feasible Donkey Kong character back except for Dixie and Kitty for some reason. Like it's really weird because like those are original Rare characters also. The fact that they replaced them with presumably with Chunky Kong and Tiny Kong would fill the same roles.
Yeah. I know, like explicitly in the manual, like Tiny's little bio mentions that she's related to Dixie.
Okay.
But I want to say that it's same thing with Chunky. It's like he's supposed to be like Kiddy Kong's older brother or something.
Okay.
But I might be making that one up.
Well, it's no clip canon now,
Yeah.
and that's the real shit.
So yeah, they do just seem like kind of like revisions on those designs almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which Dixie didn't really need, but Kiddy obviously did.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I've been quoted as saying that Kiddy Kong is an abomination, which might be going a little harsh, but he sucks on his own toes in the middle of levels. So he can fuck right off, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, no, but it is good. Like, I loved that. When you're in the tag barrel, everyone is like, pick me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the Kong for the job. And then Chunky is like, yeah, me. But then when you actually hover over him, he's like, no, don't pick me.
He specifically tells you to pick Tiny instead.
Yeah.
Pick Tiny.
It's extremely good. I like that they speak in like a mixture of English and also just grunting. I think that's a great choice, because you've got like the classic version that's used in all kinds of video games, and notably in Banjo Kazooie, is that they just say gibberish.
Yeah.
And in this game, they're like, what if sometimes Donkey Kong is like, oh, okay, oh yeah. Oh, banana. That's not him saying that. But it really just, my whole life is better because of those voice lines.
Okay.
So. Okay. It's just every time you save. Oh, it's so good. I can just sit on that menu and mash the save button for like an hour and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But mechanically speaking, I think the million-dollar question on everybody's tongue is, who's your favorite Kong?
I want to say Lanky Kong is my favorite.
Yeah. Same. But I also can't.
Yeah.
I want to say it.
Yeah, I always liked, he plays the trombone.
Which is dope.
Yeah, I like the grape shooter gun. It's like the most unique, or well, not even necessarily, but it stands out in my head. And I think like the long arms like have some of the most utility, and like the handstand, and I don't know, Lanky just feels the best, I think. Like those little combat challenges, the little like ports with K. Rool's face on them. Like I always take Lanky to those because I feel like just spinning around, he's got the biggest reach.
The very first one of those I did took me like probably 9 tries because I was playing as Donkey Kong and would continually just roll off the ledge. Yeah. Like I would just careen into oblivion over and over again.
Yeah, very easy to do that.
Yeah, Lanky is just king of that challenge because he does not roll off ledges as often.
And I'd say Tiny and Diddy are a close like runners up.
Yeah, I think I would say Tiny is my favorite, generally speaking. She plays saxophone, which is almost as cool as a trombone. But I think what holds her back for me, because like to me, she can fly. That's a big one. What holds her back though for me is that like while I think that her moveset is like the most cool and unique, like the fact that she shrinks and can like, and that's like a whole puzzle element where you can do stuff while small. Cross-reference us talking about Snowboard Kids too, that we just like when people shrink down.
I thought you were going to say Minish Cap.
Also the Minish Cap. Also Honey, We Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, all classics.
These are all classics.
Yes, we know this. We hold these truths to be self-evident.
But the thing that holds Tiny back for me is that they often will just use her small ability to then put you into a mini game. Yeah. Like it doesn't feel like it's implemented well into the levels. It'll be like there's a hole and then you go into the hole and it's like there's a barrel. Bonus time. And oh man, my
Welcome
fucking
to bonus stage.
Yeah, my heart dropped every time I heard Welcome to Bonus Stage, because not a single one of those were any fun at all.
Yeah, some of them are easy, but most of them just suck.
Yeah. Fucking the Sneak King bonus. I'm sorry, Sneak Kong.
Oh, the one with the mazes?
Yeah. That is a nightmare to me.
See, I think those are like one of the easier ones.
I don't know why I'm bad at them.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame the emulator.
Sure.
It was the emulator's fault, for sure. I don't know what it did, but it was fucking me up.
Yeah, from my perspective, at least it's just you're moving a character around. And you're not doing some bullshit, like shooting a gun or swimming or being a crocodile, like trying to make beavers fall in a hole or some bullshit.
Yeah. No, I went into, and this wasn't a bonus stage one, I don't think. This is just like a banana barrel that takes you to the slide thing. And like, I had Vietnam flashbacks, and I just left. I was like, no, you aren't going to make me do a slide after I did the N64, or Mario 64 slides.
Did you race the beetle in the
Yes.
Angry Aztec level? I wrote it.
I tried it twice.
Yeah, I made a note in my notes app today because I re-listened to the Mario 64 episode, and there's a part where I'm like, oh man, you got to try the slide levels in Donkey Kong 64 and see how they compare. So if you can splice in that clip, you need to try the slide levels in Donkey Kong 64 and tell me if you think they're harder, because I'd be very curious.
If I can go my entire life without ever playing Donkey Kong 64, I'll be a happy person.
All right. Yep. Somewhere where it's appropriate, yeah.
Yeah, and I can compare. I will say the Mario 64 slide levels are, in fact, slightly better. They did not make me want to stop playing as much as the Donkey Kong 64 ones did. But fortunately, in Donkey Kong 64, you don't have to do it, because it's just for a banana that you can just skip.
Yeah.
Well, presumably. I don't know how many you have to get to beat the game. It's probably more than I would like it to be.
I don't remember. I think there's 201 bananas overall.
Jeez, I ended with like 55 or something.
I don't think you even need 100 to beat the game. It might be 100 is what you need. I might be wrong. I do not remember.
I know I finished up through the 4th stage according to the IGN walkthrough of the game.
It's a Gloomy Galleon.
Gloomy Galleon, yeah.
Which is like probably my least favorite level.
Yeah, it was rough. That one is the one that made me like well, I mean, it literally is the one that I put the game down while I was playing. But that was more time than anything else. But it was the one where like I walked in and like the level literally starts with like a trail of bananas of different colors going in a bunch of different directions, and then when you follow them to the end, they're all like connected to other things. Like I hit a button and it like activated a thing that moved a grate on a boat, and I was just like, oh my fucking god. But we'll get back to that. We're going to talk about levels and stuff. But yeah, I played through that much of it, and I knew that there were several levels left, but not like an enormous amount. I think there's like 9, and I did 4.
After that, it's Fungi Forests, Crystal Caves, Creepy Castle, and Hideout Helm.
Very mad that I did not get to Creepy Castle.
Yeah, Creepy Castle might be the best level, too.
I have seen it played now, for what it's worth, and it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I think that Tiny could be my favorite, but doesn't quite make it. So I think Diddy is my favorite because he moves fast, or at least gives the impression of moving fast.
No, Diddy feels good to control.
Yeah.
I like Donkey Kong. I like his roll move. Like it feels good to just like move around as him, but like he does have that. Like I know I have this like main character syndrome, whereas like I don't want to use Donkey Kong because that seems boring.
Right. Kind of like when we did Diddy Kong Racing for April, and neither of us played as the one Simian character in the game.
Yeah,
it's like, you can't do Diddy Kong and Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, you can't
fuck off.
You can't pick Mario and Mario Kart. Like, come on. But yeah, I think Chunky ends up being my least favorite personally.
Yeah, I like Chunky, but mostly because he doesn't want you to pick him.
You know,
I find
I like the personality.
Because I didn't want to pick him. Yeah. His abilities are just like too straightforward and also confusing to some degree. Like, what can you punch down versus what is made for somebody else to do?
Yeah.
Why can Diddy smash through some stuff? Yeah, with the chimpy charge versus the punch. Like, it's very. They could have done a better job of differentiating those things, or letting both work would be the actual ideal answer. But yeah, so it was a little bit. That's not Chunky's fault though. That's on Rare. Yeah, we can blame them.
Yeah, Donkey Kong and Chunky Kong almost feel a little redundant. Like they both seem like they're kind of like supposed to be like the tough Kong.
Yeah, but then the strong move about how strong he is, Donkey Kong gets, is to pull levers.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't make much sense to me. I do like that Donkey Kong can pick up just regular yellow bananas, though.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't eating no fucking purple bananas, y'all. That's not for me.
Well, I guess one of the big things about the game is just the collectibles. This was in the Guinness Book of World Records and might still be for most collectibles in a single game. I think there's like over 3,000 collectible things to get. Because like each Kong has 100 bananas in each level. And you collect 75, you get a golden banana medal, which is a separate thing. And you use those to fucking unlock the ability to get the rareware coin, which you need to open up the secret room in the last level to get the final key to unlock K. Lumsey to do the final boss. There's a key in each level, so that's like 9 keys. You've got blueprints. You got 1 blueprint in every level for every Kong. You've got 5 golden bananas each for each character. Right. There's 2 banana fairies in each level. I don't know if there's a set number of coins, but there's a bunch of coins in each level.
There are a bunch of coins. And rainbow coins?
Yeah, that gives 5 to every Kong, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like I'm probably forgetting something. That's most of it.
And also scattered throughout the level, you will find like pickups for ammo, the headphones that recharge your musical instrument abilities, orange grenades, just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and on top of that, you got an instrument to get with each Kong. You've got a gun, and you've got a bunch of abilities that you get from Cranky. So like at the beginning of the game, like if you go into like into Angry Aztec, you unlock Tiny and Lanky in that level. So it's so much of like, okay, now I need to like get enough coins so I can go buy their instrument, and then I have to find enough coins to go get up their moves and like their gun, and like you have to like put everything on pause to make sure you have all their shit so that you can like go into the temples and like do their challenges and get their golden bananas. You have to like
which, as you can probably predict, is one thing that I might describe as horseshit garbage. Because I did not like the fact. The worst thing to me was when I got Chunky Kong and then unlocked a new ability and had to go in individually with every character to buy the new ability. With everyone, and then do that with the weapons, or you only have to go into the weapon shop one more time, I think, to unlock the ammo upgrade.
They were smart with the guns and the instruments. You only need to go in with one Kong to get the upgrade for all of them.
But did not like the fact that you had to talk to Cranky a million times. And you just had to go in and check with him to see if there was something new, because he'd be like, check with me in the next level. And then you do, and he's like, fuck off. I don't have anything yet.
Yep.
You got to get some number of golden bananas first. But yeah, there's like a billion collectibles. But the thing that impresses me about it, because like the thing that I don't like about the game is the way they design the levels mostly, but also I'm impressed with like the aesthetics of the levels, because you don't walk in and like opening like a 12-year-old's toy cupboard have like shit just avalanche on top of you. Like, it looks clean. You have to actually find the collectibles, which is weird. Like, with how many there are, I'm surprised that they found as many places as they did to hide them away.
Yeah, and I think like the way they accomplish that is just, I think, to the detriment of the level design, is that everything feels really segmented.
Yeah, you end up with, like, you have to take a barrel to this place to get a golden banana, or you have to go under the water here, and next to some seaweed we put some coins.
You gotta hit the button with the peanut on it to open it up so you can go in there with Diddy Kong.
Yep. Another thing that if you were redesigning DK64, just make all of those buttons activate with whoever. Like, boy, oh boy, you gotta go switch to them.
Yeah, like a more like, open approach where you could use any Kong to do anything. Like, there are multiple ways to get most of the bananas. Or you could do like a challenge run where you try to use like just one Kong or stuff like that. That's like a way more modern approach.
Yeah. And like when they do things like in the boss fights, they make you go in with a specific Kong, 100% fine. Like, that's the kind of thing that makes perfect sense. And like, certain areas, sure, limit it to a single Kong, but like put a barrier there and say like only Donkey goes through here. Whereas like in several other locations, it'll be like you have to like use the peanut switch to open a door to get to a thing that only Chunky can do. And it's like, but why not just make it the pineapple switch then? Like, yeah. But you know, collectibles though, a lot of them. That cannot be. It just can't be the Guinness record holder, or maybe it is the Guinness one because nobody's like gone and verified a new one. But like, there must be a game with more than 3K collectibles at this point.
Probably.
Shit is nuts these days.
It's walnuts, peanuts,
coconut
pineapple
shells,
smells, grape smells, oranges, and coconut shells.
That's what I always say.
Yeah. But I guess we could get more into talking about those segmented levels
Donkey Kong
after the break. We should just record the whole podcast and then sync on the after the break, because we're always so good at that. We've never screwed it up once. And we're back. So before the break, we said that we might talk about... I'm breaking my rule. I haven't broken that rule in so long of saying before the break, when to everyone who's listening, it's like 8 seconds ago. But like, before the break, we said that we were talking about those segmented levels. And obviously I'm only going to have a lot to say about 4 of them. But I think where we should start, just to like really ease everyone into the level discussion, is on this game's overworld. And since we have the world's leading expert on hub worlds here, how do you feel about, was this a formative hub world for you, or did you have other thoughts?
I mean, I guess it would qualify as that. I feel like it does have a lot of the things that like Peach's Castle has going for it. Like, it is its own level. Each Kong has 5 bananas in the hub world. Yeah. Which is cool. But I feel like if it's a little too big or like a little too spread out, it doesn't have quite the same feel to it. Yeah. That's my biggest complaint as well, is that it's a bit too big, and IGN.com, 7 out of 10, too much water. Like,
The swimming in this game is much better than I would have expected it to be.
Uh-huh.
But there's too much of it by a long shot. There's like a lot of swimming in this game. And the hub world is like, there's so much water. And like, it's just trying to go places. Like, eventually you unlock all of the, like, transport pads. The banana port pads.
Yeah.
And can just like quickly go from place to place when you need to. But like when you first get out there and they're like, go over to that island. And I was like, you want me to just like swim over to that fucking island? And they're like, yeah, do it. How about this other island with a big cool head on it? You want to go explore that? Hold up for a while. Because there's nothing in the water and nothing exciting happening. You're just swimming along. And that kind of bummed me out about it. But otherwise, I love that there are things to get in it. That is like the big thing. Like the biggest problem I have with the modern version of Hub Worlds is that they very often are just puffed up level select screens. But the fact that a hub world like in Mario 64 and this game actually has shit to go find immediately elevates it to the next level. I think that I did like about it. So I'm very lukewarm on it.
Yeah, I always really like that there is like the like light and dark side of it. Like you got Kong Island and then the K. Rool ship. And it's like always rains over there. And yeah, I just think that like adds something. You can go over there from the beginning of the game, which is I think it's like a cool addition.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring it up, but you reminded me of it. Every time that you beat a boss, there's a cutscene with K. Rool talking to the Kremlings.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna check in to see how those Kongs are doing," and like it looks like he's just looking into a glass box. But I assume it's supposed to be like a monitor or a television or something.
I think so, yeah.
And then like an abstract representation of what maybe kind of what you did shows up. Like it'll be like Diddy Kong and two Kremlings come and attack him, and then he like uses the jetpack to boost around. It's like Diddy Kong's not doing that right now because he's with me. And it always confused me as to like what the context any of that was happening in.
Yeah, I think it's just like things happening off screen, like from you,
right?
Like
always
when they're
just
in the
in a
tag
nondescript
barrel,
square, having a combat encounter with some crocodiles.
Yeah, I think it was just the best they could do at the time. But actually, later in the game, you make it to that room. At the end of Hideout Helm, and I always thought that was really cool. I don't know if there's like a word to describe that, but like showing up at a place that you saw like in a cutscene for like so much of the game, like it feels almost like surreal.
Oh yeah.
To like walk into that room and be like, oh shit, I'm here. Here's K. Rool's throne.
Here's that box he was watching.
Yeah, here's that the TV.
Yeah. No, that is cool. I do like when you get to do that, and especially in 1999, like that's kind of a novelty. Like you don't really see that very often, which is cool.
Yeah, and this game is very long and very difficult, so I didn't ever make it there till I was like in junior high. It's when I first ever beat this game. So
it was Were you playing on the same save file, or did you like start again?
God. I don't remember. I probably started a new game.
Okay. Because that, honestly, that would be the... Like, I think... I hope that he talked about this on the podcast, and I'm not, like, outing him. But I remember JJ talking about him playing Metroid Fusion and not being able to beat Nightmare for, like, 3 years or something, and like he never started the game over and played up to that and couldn't beat it. He just like continuously intermittently over 3 years kept trying to beat that one boss, and then like finally did one time. And man, if you like had a game save on Donkey Kong 64 all the way from childhood through junior high, also known as childhood but slightly older.
Just several years.
Yeah, that would be an incredible odyssey.
Yeah.
But let's take an incredible odyssey to the first level, Jungle Japes.
Mm-hmm.
This is the level you expected in Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah. It's hard to really know what to say about it. It is probably the smallest level in the game by like a pretty big margin. Like, I even think like the second level feels like it's twice as big at least.
Yeah. Only because in Jungle Japes there's one tunnel that connects to a big area with nothing in it, and in that of Aztec Meltdown, what is it called?
Angry Aztec.
In Angry Aztec, you go through a big tunnel and it connects to like a whole other big area with a bunch of stuff in it. So it is kind of like twice the level that Jungle Japes is.
Yeah. So you'll go through the level and you'll just have Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, and you had to like come back to it later with the other Kongs to get their bananas. And I just wonder if you had thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I remember talking to you because of the whole N64 issue I was having. And I had to go back through the parts of the game that I'd already played again. And then because you do keep coming back to Jungle Japes, I had to play through that level many, many times with many different characters. And I was... and the thing that tipped me off was you said the fourth level is a water level and it's kind of a slog to get through. And I said... that's the third level, because I had gone back to Jungle Japes with two of the other characters to get enough fucking bananas to unlock the water level before I actually found where Frantic Factory was. I played a lot of Jungle Japes because that was the first level and the one that I knew how to get stuff in. I don't know. I don't dislike it as a concept. I think, once again, it could have been executed better because of the tag barrel issue, the fact that you have to keep checking things. But like, it was honestly kind of cool to come back to that level with other characters and see the things that weren't as obvious that you couldn't get through before. Like, you see a big pineapple switch, you're like, oh, I gotta find who shoots the pineapples and then bring them here. But like going in and seeing like the slopes that Lanky Kong can climb up to get to that area, I actually did like that, even though it kept forcing me back to the level. It was still like I liked how they hid some of the stuff, how they gated it.
Yeah. I think that specifically is really satisfying, is like getting Tiny and Lanky and going back and doing it. But like, you either have to wait till you get Chunky as well, or just have to do it twice. Like, I don't like how it's staggered. Like, and then you'll have to go back to Angry Aztec with Chunky. Like, you have to make too many separate trips.
Yeah.
I think it's the part that's annoying. And you bring up that you went to Gloomy Galleon first. Like, I really like the idea of opening two levels at once, but I think they did it in the worst spot they could have picked. Because, you could, like, you didn't even have Chunky yet.
Right.
So, like, and you're going into that level, which I think also feels like a step up in difficulty as well.
I would agree.
So it's weird to, like, make that one available.
Yeah. And because the game has so many requirements for completion, like, it's not like you can sequence break and skip Frantic Factory. Like, you have to go back to get stuff in it in order to continue to progress through the game.
Yeah, to get all the characters.
Right. Chunky is literally not available to you if you skip that level. So, like, I don't know. It is weird that they chose to do it. But it's like, that's the macro version of the micro problem that I have with the whole game, where it's like, you just keep having to go back through stuff. Like, the fact that you need to go back with all of the different Kongs to each level to get their bananas and their coins and shit and their banana medals is the same to me as being like, in this zone you have to go through here with Tiny and then come back and change and then go through as Donkey Kong, etc., etc. So like I do like the idea of going back like it's a Metroidvania, but I think there's just it's just so staggered. I think the levels are actually less egregious than the challenges in each discrete stage.
Yeah. I think I'd largely agree. I just feel like in like the second half of the game, the levels just feel so much smoother because you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
like you just have everybody from the start.
Which I think is also why Gloomy Galleon feels like a step up in difficulty, because they don't pull punches. They immediately are just like, this is a challenge that you need to use multiple Kongs to get through. Like, you can't just... There's not like I'll go through and do the Diddy ones. Like, you have to, like, use Diddy to unlock a wall to go through to do something as Tiny or whatever. Like, it is, like, almost immediate with that. IDK.
Yeah, I Donkey Kong. Yeah, and like Gloomy Galleon specifically, to keep shitting on it, it feels like I said, like the levels feel segmented on the first half, and like that's the one where it's like the most segmented, or it's like the most like it leans into that the most, because like it's literally a hallway with branches off of it that lead to like big rooms. Like it's very like literally segmented in a way that like just isn't as much fun to play through.
Yeah. Also, there's lots of water, and you just swim through it.
Yeah. Which can seem kind of mysterious and cool at times, but the mysteries of the depths are not enough to carry the level.
I mean, also see, e.g., Rusty Bucket Bay. There's a lot... The water levels are maligned by game players of this era for a reason. There's just, like... They've been hard to do well. And you might argue are still pretty tough to get right in the modern era. So, yeah. It was certainly not my favorite stage, for sure.
But yeah, I guess Angry Aztec is a level I like a lot, but I don't know why. I feel like it doesn't stand out like among the crowd for me.
That's fair, I think.
It's one of the better ones. It's probably like the middle of the pack.
Yeah, nothing egregiously bad except for racing the beetle.
Right.
And nothing like really stand out. I was confused by the fact that there's a llama in it.
Oh yeah.
And then you stomp on the llama and he spits and turns the water into swimmable lava into water. Yeah. Why wasn't that a camel?
I don't know. They treat it like it's a character you should know.
Right, but it certainly is not, or at least not for me.
Yeah, I have no idea what the story is with that.
Fucking you can answer this question for me.
I guess camels are native to Africa, right? And Aztec would be South America.
Oh, you know, that's a good point.
So there would be llamas.
Rare just might be better at geography than I am. I was like, desert level, animal that you hit to produce water. Why is this not a camel? But you may be correct. Llamas are indigenous
to Middle America, I guess.
Yeah, Central America.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyway.
Damn. I can't believe we solved it. Somebody called the
mystery
newspaper.
of the Aztecs. We solved it.
In Jungle Japes, there's a zone that's just raining and there are huts. And Cranky's is there. And also you can become Rambi there.
Yes.
One, does that ever happen again? Because I never found another animal transformation. And two, what do I do with him? Because anywhere I went, it would just force me out of the transformation. Like, I wasn't sure what he was for.
So it does happen again. You can turn into On Guard in Gloomy Galleon.
Okay, all right.
But that's the only other time. I don't think Rambi ever comes back, unless I'm forgetting something. But yeah, you use it to smash those little huts around Cranky's whatever shop, and there's buttons underneath all of them for all the Kongs. And then you take him down the hallway and to the left, I think there's like a big like wall with his face.
Yeah, there's a Rambi wall that I did find.
And you can smash that, and there's like something in there, like a barrel or something for a Kong to do.
Yeah, I think there's a banana fairy as well.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
Okay. I just remember being like, oh, yes, a whole other thing I can do so that I can get all these fucking bananas I need to go to the next level. And then I didn't smash the huts. I didn't even think to smash the huts, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, it just seems like something they wanted to implement. It was like Animal Buddies.
Yeah.
And they ended up deciding against it, but then they just left a little bit of work they'd already done in there.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's just those two instances, and they're like, the On Guard one is more substantial, because you get to, like, swim around in, like, a sunken ship or whatever.
Right.
And there's, like, one, I think you have to, like, jump up through, like, a thing to get something. I don't remember exactly, but, like, there's more.
Right.
More to do. But, yeah, that's it. Just two instances.
Wow. Also, no love for espresso.
Yeah.
Or the spider whose name we can never remember. If it's like Kicks or Sneaks legs.
Or whatever.
This has come up on multiple podcasts that we can't remember the name of this spider.
Yeah, Squawks is in the game, but just as an NPC.
Yeah, he just every time you go to a level, he's like, oh, there's 5 bananas for you to get here. See you later. And then sometimes you can like play a musical instrument and he'll just bring a banana to you.
Yep.
Pretty nice. Good guy.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
So there's also Frantic Factory.
Yeah.
The evil toy factory.
Man, I didn't get that for so long because I'm an idiot. And thought that I pressed a button that I actually didn't press. So I spent most of my time on the bottom level trying to figure out what to do. And once you get...
like where the big machine is?
Yeah. And if you go up and through that gate, that's where they have like the enemies that are toys and like the blocks and stuff that Diddy climbs. And I just didn't see it for like half an hour. And I was like, why are there like some boxes here that just say like ABC on them? I was like, I don't understand this. I'm dumb.
Yeah, you didn't get to the actual toy part of the toy factory.
Yeah.
I love that there's like the research and development section.
Yeah.
Which is a fun inclusion.
You get to Tiny Kong once again takes you into a mini game room where you play darts.
Yeah. Any Kong could have done that.
Any Kong could have played darts. She does have the feather gun, which is the most dart-like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's my best guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's my favorite boss fight in the game, too. But I don't know if we want to talk about bosses yet.
Well, we're through all the levels that I've played, so if you wanted to have some notes on the other levels, we can move to bosses, though.
Yeah, I say my second least favorite is Crystal Cave. I like that they did a Crystal Cave level, because I know like there were Crystal Cave levels in the 2D games, and you know, crystals are cool, caves are cool, but it just kind of like it just feels kind of phoned in, like they didn't know what to do with it to me.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of it. But yeah, I really like Fungi Forest. That's the 5th level, and apparently it's like a recycled concept from Banjo Kazooie. They had Click Clock Woods or TikTok Woods.
Yeah, TikTok Woods.
In the first Banjo Kazooie, and I know one of the concepts they came up with for that they didn't end up going with was a forest where you can change it from day to night, and that's what Fungi Forest is. They ended up going with the whole seasons thing,
right,
in Banjo Kazooie. So like, I think that's cool that it like it's kind of like a sister level to TikTok Woods.
It is in fact Click Clock Woods, which is shocking to me.
Okay,
you got it on the first go.
Swish.
Yeah.
So yeah, that level's really cool. It's one of my favorites, and then yeah, Creepy Castle is like the final regular level that isn't the hideout helm.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's like a climactic final level. It's like you go up a castle. And I think it's one of like the better designed ones. Like the bananas feel like they're placed in like a more sensical way, where there's like a bunch of yellow ones right at the beginning. You can get like 50 bananas right away as Donkey Kong, and then it switches to like I think Tiny Kong next, and then Lanky Kong at the top. So yeah, it just feels like more thoughtfully designed, I think.
Yeah, because they wanted it to be a level where each individual character does a thing, and then you get to the end and there's an actual ending to the level. Like it's more linear than the other levels.
Yeah, and the boss of that one is one that you can fight it with all the Kongs.
Oh, nice. I say that I did watch like a playthrough with the rest of the levels, so
yeah,
I did know that. Yeah. But wow, great.
Yeah, Cardboard K. Rool, one of the funniest bosses of all time.
Man, one thing this game does not lack in is just not giving a shit about its characters being like threatening villains, and instead making them the funniest characters ever committed to polygons. Love Cardboard K. Rool. Love K. Lumsy. These are all amazing things. K. Lumsy? Are you fucking kidding me? Like Cruel K. Rool? They were like, what's another one we could do? I don't know, K. Lumsy.
Yeah, that I never got that K. Rool was just cruel.
Cruel, but it's also cruel, like he's a king.
Yeah, I never got that as a kid until I played this. K. Lumsy is much more obvious.
Yeah, because Lumsy is nothing.
Yeah.
I love that they were like, I know we had this kind of like double entendre thing going on with K. Rool. What about K. Lumsy then? Let's just do K. Lumsy. Like, all right, that's fine. But yeah, I'm a longtime K. Lumsy lover. Even as somebody who never played the games, I was like, K. Lumsy's great.
Yeah, K. Lumsy stan.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to talk about the bosses because the thought that I had, and I had it specifically while fighting the boss, Mad Jack.
Mad Jack.
Yeah, and Frantic Factory was, I've played 4 bosses of this game, and I think that the bosses of this game are so dog shit that I never want to play any other bosses, and if I could avoid it, never play the bosses that I've already fought again. And I feel like I might have been missing some nuance in that take.
Yeah. I mean, they're not good. They're just pretty standard or straightforward, I think. Throw the barrel at the first 2 bosses are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Like a dodge attacks and then throw a bomb at the at them. Yeah, I think Mad Jack is always one of my favorites just because it's like cool. it feels like really epic. Like the you walk out onto the platforms and they raise up in the air, and he's like a fucking demon duck, Jack in the Box. It can be pretty hard actually, but like I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like nostalgic for sure.
Yeah, I think the thing that I didn't like about Mad Jack was that it was hard. It is the only time in the game that I abuse save states. Because I was like very close to dying on my like second or third attempt on it, and I was just like, I'm just gonna do a save state here with 2 health, and if I can finish this zone, then great. I don't want to redo the whole thing again.
Yeah, and I never really liked the puffer fish that you do
For the
galleon.
Galleon. Good design though. I don't know. Like boss design, but visually.
Yeah.
It's just he's a funny looking little guy.
Just a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
And luckily for you, though, they repeat bosses after that. Crystal Caves boss is just the armadillo again, but he's got like rockets now. And then Fungi Forest is the dragonfly again, but you fight him as Chunky Kong, and you have to give him a big punch in the nose.
I did wish that there were more combat applications for Big Punch.
Yeah.
So that's like at least a positive design choice there.
Yeah. Then you have best boss in the game, Cardboard
K. Rool.
Best boss of all time ever created. And then you have K. Rool himself at the end, which is like a fucking marathon.
Right. It includes the boxing match, which Smash Brothers is extremely happy that they came up with.
Yeah.
And that honestly, like, that's the thing that I know the boss that I know the most about is K. Rool, because every speedrun has to do that whole ass thing.
It's like it's so hard because it requires you to fucking use the jetpack. So you have to use every Kong, so you go through the different rounds of the boxing match, and the second round is Diddy Kong. You have like I think a certain amount of time, or like there's something like you can like lose as Diddy Kong, and then like Lanky Kong is after that, and like his part. Like if you lose, you have to do all of it all over again. There's no checkpoints.
Yeah.
So like it's really frustrating to like work through and like have to like learn each new section, and it's like your willingness to keep doing it really jumps off a cliff.
Yeah, because you're probably not going to get everyone on your first try, so you just have to keep repeating them over and over again.
It would be a miracle. They're not easy sections.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff, especially bosses in this game, and honestly, you could branch this out into a lot of things. Like, I think that the bosses, the mini games, the fact that the levels are split up the way that they are, these are a lot of things that you can attribute largely to age. Like, the game itself is not like there are parts that are bad design, and parts that I think are included specifically to pad out the length of the game because of the era in which it was made. But, like, I look at the boss fights in this game, especially those first few that are just, like, very stock standard, like avoid an attack, do an attack when they're vulnerable. And I go, that's kind of like what they could do with this engine at the time. That's fine.
Yeah.
That K. Rool fight is so egregiously long. That one stands out as being like questionable design to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's such a big swing that I'm all for it, even though I've only actually beaten this game one time. Like if and any other time I get to it, I try it. Like I'm like I'll try this 10 times, and if I can't beat him, I'm just gonna stop. Yeah. And that always happens. Like it's really hard and very long. And yeah, but yeah, like it's so memorable though. It's like like I said, it's so extra that you kind of have to respect it.
Yeah, that they took the swing.
Yeah, they took the whisk, and now you have to batter up.
A great way of putting it, honestly.
Yeah. But on the other bosses though, like I think you're right though. Like at the time, like they're probably better than your average like 3D platformer boss.
Yeah.
But like today they either seem very simple or not or bad.
Yeah, I mean, like there were not no good bosses on the Nintendo 64. It's not like it was impossible to make something fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like there was so much packed into this game, and as we talked about with it coming out only a year after Banjo Kazooie, they probably didn't have that much time to really work something out. It does feel like it is like there's a technological limitation here. Like with what they had, they were like, how do we make a boss interesting? And did what they could. So I do agree with that. Because I said it originally.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I do want to give out like specific call out. Like I think my favorite part of the K. Rool fight is that with Tiny you had to shrink down and go inside his shoe and like shoot his toes.
Right. They couldn't get away from toes even with fucking Kiddy Kong taken out.
Yeah, and you do the hideout helm level, and you beat it, and it frees K. Lumsy, and you deactivate the laser and everything, and K. Rool tries to escape, and K. Lumsy like smashes his like escape ship, and it like crashes on the island, and then you have to actually like, go and jump in it to do the fight. So, and I always thought that was cool that it like alters the game world, like that now the ship is just there.
Yeah.
So I think stuff like that's really like impactful and interesting, especially at the time.
You didn't see it a lot at the time. You know you did see a lot at the time though.
What?
Great soundtracks composed by Grant Kirkhope. This soundtrack is a common Grant Kirkhope W, as the kids would say.
It is a big W.
Yeah.
I think Banjo Kazooie did this too, right? Where it's like the dynamic soundtrack, where like the same song will have like a bunch of different versions that it like phases in between.
Yeah, like different instruments, different like MIDI sounds that were being used.
Yeah, like Underwater, it's like the classic marimba. But then when you go into like the level like lobbies or whatever, where you have to like pay, it has like a different version of the song in those rooms. Super cool.
It's just super fucking cool.
And the tracks just slap.
Yeah,
like,
and they're just good songs.
Just very catchy. Like I think Grant Kirkhope is like a master of that like era of like music.
Yeah. He has like an absolutely, and like obviously Greg Wise, the other frequent David Wise, sorry. The other frequent composer for Rare, also sort of like worked within the same limitations that Grant Kirkhope does, but like you can like Grant Kirkhope is a video game composer who has like a distinctive style, like in the way that a famous musician does, that you don't see that often. Like sure, you could be like, oh yeah, Koji Kondo has like a lot of classics under his belt, but it's pretty rare, I think, that you could listen to a song that he composed and know immediately that it was him. Like, the thing that he did well was that he made good music that fit into a lot of places. Like, he knew how to make a song that worked in the, like, setting that it was in. And Grant Kirkhope's like, I'm going to make music that is just... that's going to use animal MIDI keyboard sounds as percussion. And you're going to be like, this is a great song composed out of stupid parts. And it's going to slap. And it's like weird how instantly recognizable it is.
Yeah. No, I think that Koji Kondo is actually the perfect person to compare him to, because I think he does kind of have a lot of the same strengths as a Koji Kondo. Like, he's really good at that, like, working within those old limitations where you had to, like, rely on the strong melodies and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he injects a lot more personality into it, like you were saying. Like, it's very identifiable that it's him.
Right.
Yeah, and then, like, I think David Wise, I think, also, like, he had more, like atmospheric songs that he did, like, Aquatic Ambience and Sticker Brush Symphony, etc. And yeah. I think that also bleeds into Grant Kirkhope. Like, I think, because he was kind of, like passing the baton on to him, and I think that kind of gives that, like, that flavor kind of rubs off a little bit.
For sure. Like, yeah, it especially given that they've worked so closely together. You do see that sort of bleeding, that blending.
Like, yeah, like, I think they could, and they may have actually done this, I'm not sure, but I think they could both work on a game soundtrack together and, like, blend their styles, I think, pretty naturally.
I would be shocked if they didn't have, I mean, probably even, like, just in, like, this game. Like, I don't know, because I didn't look at the credits, because I couldn't beat K. Rool. Or half the rest of the game. But yeah, like, very easily, I think they probably could have worked together on something that we even know and have heard and just weren't aware of it. Because they would blend so well.
One thing that I was just thinking that I forgot to mention when we were talking about bosses are fucking Troff and Scoff.
Oh, yeah.
There's, like, these rooms you go into. There's these portals that take you to the boss, like, door. And there's a pig and a hippo.
Correct, yeah.
And you have to, like, feed the hippo a bunch of bananas to make him fatter than the pig, so he can push down his button and raise the pig up to the key so he can turn it. So, yeah, you have to you unlock the boss door with the bananas. And I just always thought the boss room... like, Troff and Scoff is just funny.
Yeah.
First of all, like, it's a memorable thing. But then, like, it then, like, flips, though. Like, once you open the door, I think, like, the music, and then when the doors open, there's just, like, this wind and, like, this, like, ominous, like, song. And then when you go through the door, there's that laugh.
Uh-huh.
Like, and it's, like, really, like, imposing and ominous. So,
it really is. Like, it does, like, convey a tone that the rest of the game just usually doesn't have, and it's very I don't know, it's surprising. Also, Troff, I think one of them just definitely has nipple rings.
Yeah, I think Troff is the pig and Scoff is the hippo.
Okay, yeah. So maybe it was Scoff then.
Yeah, but one of them has nipple rings.
Yeah, it's kind of just kind of there, and, like, that's fine. It's whatever. It's just like, man, you're working with, like, how much processing power, and you've chosen to model nipple rings onto this cartoon hippopotamus.
Mm-hmm.
That's a choice.
I mean, they made the right decision.
Yeah, so obviously that was the correct decision. They could have... The K. Rool fight was actually going to be one more phase, but they had to cut it off so they could fit the nipple rings in.
Do you remember, or were you ever aware of the old... YouTube show called Death Battle, where they would, like, put fictional characters, like, make them fight each other.
Oh, so it was like a celebrity death match, but
kind of
not.
I always just thought it would be funny to have Troff and Scoff versus Bebop and Rocksteady.
That would be good. Those are some classic animal companions right there.
Yeah.
Troff and Scoff. They never came back to anything.
Not that I'm aware of. Such as this pig. It's a character that you once remembered as a character.
Oh, man. Fucking Troff is the checkpoint pig from Donkey Country Returns.
Yeah, that's just a game theory. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We're going to reference every YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, all the old ones to show our age.
Yeah. I do want to say, you probably have more notes.
I don't know. We've covered a lot of stuff.
We've covered some ground.
Mm-hmm.
But And what I mean to say there is, of course, we've had fun here today.
Uh-huh.
But I have to talk to you about a very serious topic that I've struggled with over the last 5 days.
All right.
Let's talk about re-release this fucking game. Put this game somewhere that anyone can play it. Because I tried really hard to play this game on the N64. Harder, I think, than I have attempted to get any game to work, to function. Because the only legitimate ways to play this game are on the N64 and on the Wii U Virtual Console, which notably you cannot access anymore.
Right.
I thought you were saluting there.
Oh, no. Just scratch
That
my
would have been
eyebrow.
funny. Yeah, this game is like in, I assume, a copyright hell issue because it is like a Rareware game who got bought by Microsoft, and then Donkey Kong is still a Nintendo property. Because like they did that re-release, the Rare Rewind, that had a bunch of different Rare games. This is not included on it.
Yeah.
Nintendo isn't re-releasing it. It's not on the Switch N64 emulator thing. And it isn't like... but the other Donkey Kong Country games are. Like, the ones on the SNES are on that. This is a game that every single human being on the planet knows about. And I will not hear an argument otherwise.
I think that Nintendo doesn't like this game.
Yeah, well, fuck them. They made Star Fox Zero.
Like, I compare it to, like, Disney. Like, when they have a movie that doesn't perform as well as they want it to, they just don't represent it in the parks or, like, ever acknowledge its existence ever again.
Yeah.
Like, something like Hercules. Like, you never see Hercules walking around Disney World.
You do see him in all 3 Kingdom Hearts games, though.
That's true, yeah. But I'm surprised it's even on the Wii U Virtual Console. Like, I feels like, and I don't know if it's tied up legally. It probably is. I would guess that they just own the rights to it because it's Donkey Kong, but I have no idea. But no, I would love to see like them like remake the game. Or like at least like re-release it, or like I'd like to see a sequel to it. Like I'd really like to see these characters again. Like I really feel like the concept of a 3D Donkey Kong game deserves another shot.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that, and I think that's probably definitely a Final Thoughts kind of territory here. It's just like to me, I feel like everyone knows about this game, and like I said, like my impression of the game was colored by the reputation that the game had, because I hear people talk about it all the time. I say all the time, I mean like once every like year maybe. People bring up Donkey Kong 64, so you have to imagine that there are lots of games out there, and by have to imagine I mean we have experienced this personally, that are also impossible to find and play. Like this is like, but the difference to me, because this is a thing that does happen to other media, like some movies are just like you can't watch them unless you like really dig or drive to a fucking library somewhere because there's like 8 prints or some shit. But like this is Donkey Kong 64. This is like if the movie if James Cameron's Titanic was impossible to watch. Like they never put it on DVD.
It's like if the original versions of Star Wars weren't available to watch.
It is actually like that, which makes this even somehow reasonable within the world. I don't know. I feel like it's the kind of thing where it's like we really need, like we have emulation, which is how I played it. There needs to be some kind of ruling on this to at least make the emulated version like good and allowed.
Yeah, I used to feel like the talk around game preservation, or like, and like people would like criticize Nintendo about the Virtual Console, all the time. I remember thinking people like used to like make too big of a deal about it, But like we've gotten to the point now where it's like an unavoidable problem.
Yeah.
And I think especially like Nintendo's got so many classic games that like I feel like they do need to come up with a solution like that, how like people are going to be able to like play all their games.
Yeah.
As they like just stop working, you know.
And also like hardware things that are tied up. That is unique to games though. Like I'll hand it that.
And they've got like so many consoles, like, you know, like they've done all they can with like the Pokemon games, right?
Yep.
But like the most recent like versions they released of like Red and Blue and Gold and Silver were on the 3DS, which means like, you know, like if your 3DS breaks, you're shit out of luck because the, you know, the store isn't up anymore. So they're gonna have to re-release those someday again. You know,
and like people won't be happy about it
because the original carts are all dying. You know, it's rare to have one that the battery still works, and like you can replace it, but like,
how many people like have the expertise to even know that that's what the problem is?
Right. So yeah, it's definitely a bridge that's going to need to be crossed, I think.
Yeah, Donkey Kong 64, notably, is a game that is available on a platform where the store that sells it no longer exists, and on a console that requires a peripheral that isn't that common to play.
I don't know if I've ever seen an N64 that didn't have the RAM pack in it.
My new one doesn't, but also I was able to use the one from the N64 I was using, so thankfully it would have worked if it was
like Donkey Kong 64. And then like Rogue Squadron and
I want to say
Perfect
Pod
Dark.
Racer. Oh yeah, was it that?
Yeah, I think those are the only games I can remember. Those were all common enough, I guess. So like a lot of people I feel like do have the RAM adapter.
Yeah, like I definitely have it, but don't know why or where I got it.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's
problem,
just my
though.
thing. Yeah,
you need it to play this game.
Yeah, we gotta normalize something somewhere along the line so that, like, if somebody wants to go back to play fucking Donkey Kong 64 or any other game from the N64 era, that they aren't, like, barred from doing so. Because it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do we have... Wait, hold on. What if I just said... Oh, final thoughts. That's bad. I don't like that one.
Fungi thoughts.
Oh, do we have fungi thoughts? That's more of like a Mario thing.
Yeah, but like there's fungi forest. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, that is the F level of this game.
Yeah.
I
respect the commitment to all the levels being alliterative.
That is big, yeah.
Yeah.
It increases my enjoyment slightly. Do we have funky thoughts?
Okay. My funky thoughts are, this, as I said earlier, a childhood favorite. It's a game, I probably would have considered like a top 10 all time for me until I was like the age of like 17. Like I know I replayed it when it came to the Wii U, probably in like 2015 or 16-ish, and like the flaws do stand out very glaringly, coming back to it with fresh eyes, but it's like one of those things that's like so nostalgic to me that it's like easy for me to look past them all. But like they are all very real. The game is a lot of backtracking. The game is a lot of switching and like segmenting and like having to like stop and start. Like I was capturing footage. I captured the Angry Aztec level, and that one especially, like getting the 2 new Kongs. Like it really feels like almost an hour, like 45 minutes of like running around and getting stuff before you feel like, okay, now I can play the level. That's pretty rough to go back to. So like there's a lot of things that contribute to it, and like I honestly think, I think this is something you were kind of saying earlier, that like it isn't even the amount of collectibles. It's like the having to go back and switch and stop and start all the time is the thing that like really brings it down. But yeah, like I think this game though like really shines in all the like classic Rareware ways though. I think it's got a lot of personality. It's got a lot of charm. It's got like all these little
Je ne sais quoi.
cutscenes.
Oh, sorry.
Je ne sais quoi. And it's got all those little cutscenes that you called out as well, of like K. Rool and the minions, you know, just kind of like being doofy, and all the little animations in the tag barrels and stuff. So yeah, it really goes all out and really did make like a big grand adventure for the time. So yeah, I'm just cursed to have eternal like mixed feelings about it, because like I remember how awesome it seemed at the time, and I'm able to see how poorly it's aged as well. So it's like a weird swirl for me. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Childhood favorite. Still enjoy going back to it personally.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, because I felt like in order to get like an actual conversation, holding this information till the end seemed incorrect. Which is, I did actually like a lot of this game, a lot more than I thought that I would. Like, I did go in assuming that I would think that the game was hot shit, served to me on a cold plate. And it actually is a good game that is hindered potentially by overambition. Like, it feels like there is so much in this game, and so many things that they tried to do, and it works most of the time. It's really shocking how well, like, the platforming, I think, still holds up. I think that the way that they managed to fit 4 different special moves onto the N64 controller while still maintaining camera control, and camera that is better than the one that's in Mario 64, debatably, maybe only by a little, but it is honestly impressive to me. I think that there's a lot of things that work in here, but I think that there's just the inherent conceit of the game, like the base thing that it does, is problematic because of the way it's designed, and it hampers so many elements of the game that it's really hard to go back to and be like, I'm loving it. Like, because there are gonna be moments where you ain't loving it, where you're really hating it, and that doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good for me to come in and say that I didn't enjoy my experience with the game, but it felt like a big missed opportunity in that respect. I can't imagine at the time getting really into the game, like both being young and inexperienced with these things, and just like its contemporaries really were not that much better. Like, I like Banjo Kazooie, and I think that the biggest difference is that in Banjo Kazooie, when you see a 4-second cutscene of the next ability opening up, or the next room, or just something appearing on the map, you don't have to like go get a pen and paper and write it down, because you can only get there with one Kong, so you gotta go change this and that and keep a bunch of things in your head at once to know where anything is. So yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good game that is just held back by a very front and center design decision. Thank you for listening to No Clip this week.
What are we talking about next time?
Ooh, that's not a very scary laugh. Next time.
It's like Winnie the Pooh or something.
Yeah, but like a ghost Winnie the Pooh. That was Wrinkly Kong.
Ghostly the Pooh?
It's Ghostly the Pooh, Ghostly the Boo, coming to we got there. It's like 4 tries, but here we are. We're entering the spooky month of Halloween-tober, as we've themed it, as always. And we're going to be talking about Dead Space. Editor's question.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the remake, right?
That was the version I was gonna play, yeah.
Alright. Remake. Next time. I don't know. So, do we want to say anything about that? The momentum died there. I apologize.
Yeah. I mean, I've never played it, and I know at the time a lot of the games of that console generation didn't really appeal to me, but Dead Space was always intriguing. So I'm glad I'm finally gonna get to play it.
Yeah, I played Dead Space when I was
forward to it.
A kid when it was on the 360, and I remember not liking it, but it is a game that has received an infinite amount of praise. So I'm excited to try the remake and wonder if maybe I was literally just too dumb and a child to enjoy the game. So, hell yeah, let's get on it next time. Fuck yeah. Until it's hot fuck, it's Halloween. Until that time, you can get a hold of us. All of our contact information is on our website at noclippodcast.com or on splattershot.pro. There you can find links to our email address, our Twitter account, our YouTube channel, and you can listen to all of our old episodes, including ones that we did on Super Mario 64, on The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which, as I found out 20 seconds ago, is one of the 4 games that requires the expansion pack.
Psychonauts.
Yeah, that's a plat. We've done actually a lot of platformers.
Yeah.
Our 99th episode was on A Hat in Time. Lots of good shit kicking around in the old archives. So go listen to them. And ask the ghost of Wrinkly Kong how to smash that like button.
Pull out your peanut pop guns and shoot that bell.
Use your grape blowgun, your grape guzzling go gun, to write a comment in the sand.
Good luck on the podcast. Make a reference of me so I can feel cool.
I've referenced you on the podcast before.
Really?
Yeah. I referenced how you said that we suck ass.
No.
You were like, at one point you were like, I wish that you guys would like argue more.
Yeah, because you guys are always just like, well, yeah, but I see, yeah, your opinion's valid, but no. Guys are like, fuck you, nerd. That shit sucks. Like, like get into it.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I was like, he always wants us to be arguing all the time, and yeah, and like get rowdy with it.
Get primal.